Right, the build is underway and we are getting the front end assembled. Getting the E-clips in these wasn't easy. I had to like push this through as far as it would go, and they do go on, so that's all good and well. But one thing that I didn't pick up on last time was your front arms. There's no part number in there, so your original Cougar 2 arms, they've got the part number T1210, R and L obviously left and right. That's omitted from these, so again, another way of keeping the vintage ones for vintage is that they don't have the part number on. So I'll crack on with the build, and as soon as we're at a good point to stop, I'll come back and let you know what I think. But so far, not very far, all going well. Right, step 7. So we're just gonna take a pause here. So that's your front end all together. So you've got the ball race steering, all nice and smooth in there. Obviously you're going to thread lock those bolts there. When you're fitting them, obviously you can't have them tightened right up, because obviously then it won't be able to move freely in there. But it's just what I do. But I always get that, tighten it up, just nip it up, and then back it off just to the point where it'll move, but you don't have any play. And then the rest of the steering just bolts up because it's all ball raced. So these just get nipped up nice and tight. Obviously you don't have to go mad with the screws. And yeah, I'm using the standard Schumacher screws. A lot of people have issues with them stripping out, saying that they're soft, and yeah, they're not the best. I mean, this one's just started to go as it's been tightened up, but you're going into plastic with the nut there, so I don't really grunch on it. I just nip it up. But we'll carry on with the build. Right, so the Pro shocks, or as they get often referred to, Vari shocks. So in the manual, you'll notice that on the end there is it going to come into focus? There is this. So basically this, you can have 1, 2, 3, 4 holes, and basically the way that it's done, so it gets a bit white behind it. So we see we've got 1, 2 holes open, and then all you do is just hold the bottom part, and then where you've got the little lugs on there, just give that a little twist. Not the easiest, I'll admit. There, so that's spun round. Then when we look at this, we've got 1 hole open, 2, 3, and closed. So basically that's just a case of just spinning it round, and then you can change the setting. So basically if you're on the track and you wanted to make the suspension stiffer, you could just close a hole, make it softer, open up a hole, obviously depending if you're on 1 or 4 holes at the time. So this is what it does say to use. What you also get on the sprues are these. So these are the ones that I know pretty much. I always ditch these because generally on the because they weren't re-released, they were original ones. These were pretty worn, and they have had a habit of spinning around themselves from what I've heard. So I'll be fitting these. These come on the sprue with the shock bottoms, so you get that whole sprue, and then you've got the whole selection there as well. So you've got 2, 3, 4. I've noticed that there is 2, but I don't know if it's a different size hole. I'm sure that there's someone out there that will be able to let me know. But looking at them, it looks like this one's, the holes are slightly smaller than that one. I think they are, but yeah, someone will know out there. But that's it. So the only other thing, I get one of the bags, cut off the bottom part, and then I'll fill a little bit in the bottom, and then the little sponge inserts, these go around the bottom of the shocks. Just need to pop the little centre bit out, and then these go on the bottom. It's just a little sponge insert. There's 2 of them. I think it's 2 go in each shock. I just sit them in there, let them soak with oil, squish them about, get as much air out as possible. And once you've built the shocks, what you'll probably find is, even if you do get these full of oil, you may need to just operate them a few times, give it a little bounce, and then take them apart, and just, because obviously if there's any air in there, it's going to come back from in the shocks. But if you let them soak over a good length of time, that's generally long enough. And then obviously your O-rings, it's worth just putting a bit of shock oil on there. It does say to use it. I normally use Speedworks. It's like a green grease. I think I've done an error because I know that the gearbox grease is empty, and I know that I've thrown one away. So I think I've thrown my O-ring grease away and kept the empty one. But that's it. So we'll get the shocks built up, and then the build is almost there. So we've got the chassis all done, looking absolutely lovely. And I've already been working out what I'm going to do in terms of another build. I've decided I am going to have to save up and get myself another one of these, because I do want to do a nice build. I've seen a nice chassis protector on eBay, so I've got one of those on order, and then hopefully we'll have all hop-ups we can have a look through. But I'm not going to bother with a chassis protector on this. This is going to be a runner, and because now you can just buy the chassis, I'm not going to bother putting anything on the bottom of it. We'll just let it get some battle scars. But that's it for now, so let's get the shocks built. Right, we are all built, and oh my, I absolutely love this. Everyone that knows me knows how much I do love the Cougar, especially the Cougar 2 work. So being able to build one that I don't really have to care about looking after it, and I can just get out on the track, is so awesome. So we're all done, electrics are in. Yes, I've not gone completely box spec, as in I've mounted the battery further forward, which is where I think I'll be running it. The ESC that I've got, I won't be able to fit at the front. I don't think it may reach there. I don't think it will though. However, having the battery on the front gives it a little bit more weight over the front end. But the shocks I've built with the adjustable pistons, kit shock oil, kit shock positions, and there is a nice amount of droop. The front's probably a little bit too high, but it does, once there's a battery in there, it does sit fairly level. But yeah, absolutely love this thing. So it's all built. I've given it a quick bench test, and I think I maybe need to just loosen off the belt ever so slightly. But no issues to report with the build. Some of these washers that go in the front there, they were a little bit hard to get on. All I did was just get a little file, rub down the back, because I think when they're pressed out, it sort of pushes out and leaves a little edge. So I just flattened them off ever so slightly. They fitted, so you can get the E-clips on. And I don't think I had any major dramas. So there are some new drive shafts, like I've said before. If you're wanting to fit these to your Pro Cat or your Cougar Classic, because these won't fit. I don't know exactly why. They're too short from what I can gather, but there is one out there, and I've put the information up for that. But I'll try and remember and put everything in the description as well. So yeah, we've not run it yet. So yeah, so the front arms, they are, all the webbing's a little bit more beefed up, I think, from the originals. Obviously they're not made from the original mold, so again, that's another part if you're wanting to do a true authentic Cougar 2 restoration. And I'll just grab mine. So it's not the easiest to show, but you can definitely tell a Cougar 2. The main thing is they've got the part number in there. The re-release ones don't. So comparing a works to a standard Cougar, with these works arms, it does slightly extend the wheelbase, probably about 5mm, longer wheelbase. The main part is that the drive shafts are in line. So obviously your original Cougar 2, the wheel hub is aligned there, and the drive shaft comes off just below the rear shock tower. So it's probably about 10mm further forward. So the new gearbox brings the diff further back. I think the main thing was that with the diff being further forward, it had a tendency to make it want to lift the front end up and wheelie. And wheelbase, I didn't really think there'd be much difference in the wheelbase, but, and it's not going to show up on the camera, but if we line up that side and that side, they look pretty much identical. I thought these would have been on the works a little bit wider, but they're not. But yeah, so the front springs, obviously these are off the Cougar Classic, so they are a short spring. They're not the intermediate ones that you get, hence why I think you've got to run so much spacer on the front there. But even with the kit amount of spacer, with the shock on full travel, the spring could get knocked out of the cup. So just for general running, it's maybe not an issue, but if you were looking at racing, you'd probably want to add a 2mm in there if it does have a tendency to start coming out. Obviously we've got all the electrics in, so we've got the Savox Black Edition servo, the Hobbywing XR10 Pro, ESC, and I've got a new motor. So I've got the Amy Booth models 13.5, and a 13.5 is enough for me. It's enough for most people, to be honest. A 10.5 limit is what Revival, and it's like a gentleman's agreement for clubs to run to. So I need a 13.5 purely for the fact that when I go to the Euromasters in Germany next year in April, it's a 13.5 limit for two-wheel drive. So, and this one, I mean, oof, the magnets in that are pretty strong. So I've given it a quick bench test. Maybe need to loosen the belt. And that's about it. I've got nothing else to report on the build. So if you're getting yours, get rid of that one, and you're looking at running it, in terms of batteries, obviously you've got the LCG, low centre of gravities, you've got the ultra low centre of gravities, the height difference. In the kit, these are the battery fittings that you get for these ones. If you're wanting to look at running the ultra low centre of gravities, then you'll need to order part number U7046, which is the ultra low centre of gravity ones, or if you're going for the upgraded part, U7984. These are the shorter ones. So these once these are in, it will be a lot lower down, and you can get your normal ultra low centre of gravity batteries in. If you're wanting these and you're wanting to run your normal size batteries, you do need to get the little spacers. I've got them on order. They've not arrived yet from wherever I've ordered them at. And that's about it to report at the moment. We'll have a quick look at one of the wheels because my mate Lee Williams at Lee Williams 77 has picked up, so I'll get one of these off in a second. Right, so the wheels. Yeah, so creamy colour, whitey colour. Obviously these are an original unused new set. They were new in pack. And then you've got the new one. So I don't know if this yellowing is how they are or if it's just a bit of discoloration, but most I've seen are this slightly creamy colour as opposed to the brilliant white. But when you look at, I mean, it won't show up on the camera at all, but there is some sort of like slight dimpling. I don't know how they're made, but the plastics all feel the same, all up on the inside. They're all pretty much the same. This one, you do have some sort of like marks just in there. I'm guessing these are just mold release marks or something, but yeah, so the newer ones, I would say if you've got like a brilliant white one, it's going to be the re-release. But if you're getting these to go on the shelf, then I mean, you're not going to notice when it's sat on the shelf. But if you want that purist look, then obviously you want the OG ones. But yeah, it just feels this, like he was saying it feels almost as though it's 3D printed, because you've got like a grain running all the way down there, but it won't show up. But by the by, I just love the fact that I can just go out now and buy a set of these for, probably get like about 10 sets of these is what you pay for an original set of these. I've got loads of the original ones anyway. But just a quick look at the wheels. I think I've covered everything that could be different, or someone wanting the true original parts. But we'll get back to the car. So yeah, overall, absolutely over the moon with this, and it will be getting run. I was hoping to give it a run outside somewhere this weekend, but it's abysmal weather outside, so potentially I'll be able to give it a run on the 22nd, because our club are, even though it was last weekend was the last weekend racing, they're going to do another weekend. But failing that, this will be going to Robin Hood Raceway on the 28th of December. And even if the weather's bad, they have a little indoor track, so we can give it a run out. It's going to be run with these tyres. I'm not going to bother getting any tyres just purely for this, but the rear suspension feels a little bit too soft from kit. Once you've got a battery in there, but the front feels all right. But obviously a kit setup is just that, it's just a base setup just to get you rolling. And obviously these are designed for off-road, so nice bit of ground clearance. There was nothing I could pick up in the manual, unlike the RC10s. Everything was fine. It now tells you that you're going to need a posi screwdriver. I know in the older ones like the Cougar and the Top Cat and the XLS, just curious myself now. So yeah, so there's no mention in there that you need a posi screwdriver. So if you'd have looked at this and ordered tools just for that build, you'd have been pretty stumped. But yeah, obviously you get your little race tips. If you've never built a car before, then it's good to know. Obviously you want to make sure your arms all move freely. Anything that's on a pivot moves freely. If it doesn't, it may just need a little bit of cleaning up or something. But what I do like, the exploded diagram in the middle. So basically it's got everything in there, all the part numbers. So no matter what you need, you can just delve in there. Obviously if you break a rear hub, find your rear hub, U8964, boom, that's your hub. You've got the part number. Got all the springs. So obviously if you're going to look at running this, a spring kit is pretty much all you're going to need if you want to do the fine tuning. But obviously with the shocks you can just change your shock oil. But yeah, that's all there is in there. It's got all the build, and then you've got your track settings. So basically it'll go through, explain what each thing does, how to adjust it, how it's going to affect the car in terms of running. Full spares list, all the option parts. A nice picture of all the option parts. I'm waiting for all these to come in. So like I say, I've got some of these parts, but I'm waiting for them all to come in. And then obviously you get your setup sheet and then a blank one on the back. So you can basically just take a copy of this when you go off racing, just fill in all the relative details. Once you've got a good setup, then you change it for the next one. You can just go back to that setup sheet. That's all I've done. Nothing else to report. So the only thing I've done, and I do it on the works that I run, is to get to your pinion. If you need to change your pinion, obviously getting to the grub screws a little bit hard, so I just put a little hole just in there so I can get a wrench down in there, and then I can get that onto the pinion without disturbing too much. And it's not going to let in too much because obviously your gear cover is going to go on there. It does recommend a bit of tape just to help it be more secure. I would just put a little bit of servo tape just on the top and on the bottom, but that's it. So the next time you see this, it should be when we're at Robin Hood Raceway having a nice little run around, and that's it. So that's it for me. Any questions, give us a shout, always happy to help. But take care and have a good Christmas, everyone.